Yeah. Welcome back to the Lockdown Universe. Home of the bizarre, peculiar, not heard of stories of UFO legend and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing well and taking care of yourselves. Hey man, it's been a little while. I apologize, man. It's the holidays, Yeah, I got dogs, I got family, I got stuff going on, so I apologize for not being able to get into the podcast. You know, Spotify has annihilated me. Uh, in monetization, they've taken everything basically. So I'm getting shit for this. So it's kind of just I do it when I have time and I have fun. So hey, check this shit out. I can't, and I only really want to do these when I have something good to share with you guys. It used to be I would push myself to do one every single day. Well, let's face it, there's not something every day that's really worth noting. I mean, we could talk about drones all day long, but in the end of the day, we're not going to get too far. But this story is really cool, actually. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm going to bring it to you. So, today, what I'm talking about is an individual who may or may not be telling the truth. He states that he has a capability called, well, I'm not going to say what it's called, but basically it's similar to remote viewing. Okay, it's basically what he's doing. He's going to a another realm, and he's remote viewing. And sometimes he stumbles upon not just different areas on Earth, but also just finds himself upon ships. And in this particular case, he found himself on a gray ship. Grays, I'm referring to as the small grays. Now, in this particular story, the individual at hand also had a psychotic break before this, years before this, and tried to do some destruction. And that's why I say I don't know if this is necessarily a trustworthy source, but it's an interesting story. And that is really what I'm after, interesting stories. And it's up to us to decide if they're true or not. So, according to him, when he was clean, sober, and everything else, he was doing a remote viewing session. And this, let's face it, when you're remote viewing aliens, that could cause you to have a psychotic break, right? I mean, let's face it. So, that doesn't surprise me so much. And that's why I'm not completely writing him off. But he states that he stumbled upon a dozen grays standing around a table, remote viewing a town. This table had a holographic image of the entire town and the people that were walking through the town. It was a real time event table allowing them to watch what's going on and pick out certain individuals. So I'm going to kind of tell you what he said here. He states they're standing around this table. It looks to me like this table is blank at first, but I get closer and he realizes that looking down, they're remote viewing a town. And they're looking at certain people in buildings. And the Greys were picking up certain individuals, and they were all focused on one individual. Okay, so it wasn't like 12 Greys were looking at different aspects of the town. All of them were laser focused on one individual, which means to me that they're all hive minded and they were all focusing on certain individuals for a certain cause. Either that individual had a certain genetic makeup that they needed, or that individual was going to partake in a certain event, or they were psychologically, telepathically communicating to that individual and manipulating that individual to do something or to be persuaded to go into a particular building or to go do something that they might not have normally done. You know what I'm saying? So like they were like kind of like guiding them, so to speak. We always talk about guardian angels and things like that. Well, maybe this is something like that. So I'm going to continue to kind of tell you what he said here. It was almost like they were working in a chorus. They needed a person that they were looking at to get a 360-degree view of what they were looking for. He stated he didn't know what the purpose was, but that they were all working together as a team, and they all looking at this one individual. And he said while he was watching them, he said it was a town in the United States, and two grays then turned and looked at him. They stared at him, and he was like, "Ooh, this is not good. They found me out." And so he said, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna dip out from wherever he was, right? Wherever the ship was. And the beings could tell that he was in their atmosphere, that he was in their room or their ship. Now, this is not the first time I've heard a story like this. I've heard the story from Joseph McMoneagle, who was remote viewer number one for the government. He stumbled upon a reptilian ship. He was on the ship with his astral body. They all froze their movements. They did not move. Once they detected he was on that ship astrally and they were being monitored, they basically froze so that he couldn't see what they were doing. I've heard this from, I think it was Ingo Swann as well, and a couple other folks who they'll go into like a base, an alien base on Earth, and when they go in, they can see the things that are around in the base. They can see symbols, they can see libraries, they can see all kinds of things, but they can't see what the aliens are doing because they basically freeze, or they look directly at them and they telepathically start becoming the predator. They start going after the people that are infiltrating their base. And they'll chase them astrally. They'll chase them out of the base. One individual who is on Gaia, one of the females, I believe her name is Elizabeth, and she is a fantastic remote viewer, and she stated that she infiltrated a United States base somewhere. I believe it was like Alaska or something like that. And while she was in there, just being curious, she found out that there were other remote viewers protecting the base. So you have physical bodyguards and you also have astral bodyguards. And those astral bodyguards sensed that she was there and sensed that she was going into some areas that she shouldn't be. And she might be compromising the goal of the base, the mission of the base. And so they chased her out. They chased her through hallways, and she's freaking out. She said she had to dart under the ground, above the ground, into tunnels, and all around to try to ditch these astral bodyguards, these astral missionaries, not missionaries, mercenaries, right? Astral mercenaries, out there basically bounty hunting anybody that was going to be coming into their area. Security guard forces. Could you imagine being an astral security guard force? I mean, that's wild. That's wild stuff. I have a friend that does security forces for the Air Force, and I wanted to do it too, but unfortunately, certain physical limitations, didn't allow me to. But I was definitely interested. I wanted to do Air Force, get deeper into it, learn more about it, hopefully learn some UFO stuff, kind of get into it. But he does that stuff, and he's never told me any stories. But could you imagine not just being a physical security force, but being recruited, saying, "Hey, guess what? You're really good at what you do. Now we want you to be an astral security guard, an astral security forces, so that if you notice anybody psychologically coming in to our base, we want you to chase them, follow them wherever they go. We want you to track them down so that we can track them down in the real world." God damn, that's crazy. But anyway, this story I thought was particularly interesting because I'd never really heard of anyone being able to remote view a group of aliens actively monitoring any town. It doesn't matter if it was a U.S. town, just any town, And the fact that they did see him, they noticed him, they said, "Oh shit, we're being watched," and they chased him out of there. Basically, that's really cool. That's really cool. I was having a conversation earlier, and we were talking about, with one of my colleagues, we were talking about hybridization. Why would aliens? Why would the Greys in particular? Because we know the Greys are definitely hybridizing with humans. We know that because we've had so many stories of people being abducted, women being abducted, and then shown their child that is half alien, half human, and they need to have touch. They need to have human touch, so that our emotions, our DNA, the emotions within our DNA get transferred into this hybrid. Otherwise, it won't live. It won't survive. And you know, even my significant others, like, it doesn't make sense. Why would they? Why would the gray aliens who are intelligent want to hybridize with us? Why do they care about humans at all? We're stupid monkeys, right? We're just a bunch of dumb primates. But the fact of the matter is that so many stories have come back to us saying that these grays can't survive, that they're a dying breed, and they need to breed with another being, another species, in order to survive. So they're using their techniques and their technology to continue the longevity of their species, using a species that's already pretty well defined, that and already pretty well manipulated throughout the last 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 years, has proven to be pretty resilient, live to be now 70 years old, and to possibly be pretty flexible with the gray species. So they're trying to continue their species the best way that they can by utilizing our bodies. And the most interesting thing is that Bob Lazar said that they see us as containers. Well, they're using us as containers, soul containers, to continue their species. And that's all we are, is just meat containers to help them perpetuate their species. And they allow us to live to do that. And there's lots of planets out there that have similar species like Earth, humanoids, that they can do it with. That's why we call them the farmer races, the genetic farmer races, because they come down, they take some genetic material, and they go ahead and make their own little people. And we've found through Randy Kramer that the soul is a transferable liquid, a quantum liquid, but a transferable liquid. So they can just transfer the liquid into these new bodies and continue to have a species. Apparently, nobody wants to die off, even if you're a dying breed, and that's kind of the way nature has decided it's going to handle your species. But these grays, they just don't want to die off, man. So, what do you think? Do you think that this story holds water? Do you think it's just the rantings of a madman? Or do you think that these grays work together in concert to look through different towns and cities all across the world, not just the United States, but all over the world, to find the correct DNA, or to manipulate us into doing certain actions or events, or to do something else entirely? See, there's kind of like three things that could be going on with this particular scenario, and then I'll wrap it up. One is they're looking for somebody that has certain DNA. Well, why do they need 12 people watching at the same time? Isn't that interesting that it's the number 12? The 12 could represent what people see after they die. They see 12, the Council of 12. And it's kind of like the Judgment Council of 12, deciding whether or not you're going to go back to Earth or not. Wouldn't this be really weird if what he actually saw was the heaven or the afterlife that people say they see, and they say that they see humans in robes, and that's the Council of 12, and that talking amongst themselves and deciding if they lived a good enough life to stay or if they have to go back. But in reality, they're projecting an image to people, and the image behind the image is really the Greys, and they're looking at all these people and kind of playing with us. If you've ever seen Dark City, that whole movie is kind of based on this premise where they change the world around, they manipulate people, and and that's their whole goal. Is just to kind of have like a play toy. It's really interesting. If you haven't seen Dark City, you gotta see it. It's amazing. Um, I don't think that they need 12 people to look at a person or people for DNA. They have technology for that. Why would they need 12 people to look at somebody for DNA? All they need is like one or two people, DNA scientists, and say, okay, that person has what they need, and using a tool, not using their eyes to look at the people. So this gentleman saw these 12 beings around a table looking at a town and then looking at certain individuals in this town. So either A, they're observing, and why are they observing? Is it for DNA? Are they looking for personality? They're looking for certain personalities that might fit what they're looking to replicate in their genetic code. Is it possible for us to even fit in their genetic code with our personality? I mean, it seems kind of crazy. Or are they really kind of working as the behind the scenes manipulators of humans, and after we die, they're pretending to be this all encompassing council of 12 and sending us back into the ever perpetuating prison loop of reincarnation so that we continue to create energy for them. We continue to create understanding for them, and we can never be free, right? The only problem I have with the prison planet scenario is that we have Dolores Cannon, who's done hypnotic regressions and had people who have stated that they've been on other planets in other lifetimes, and they've discussed that entire lifetime and how they played out and where they were. So it seems as though our soul bounces around from planets to planets. So maybe maybe we were another soul on another planet at one point, but maybe we had to come here to learn certain lessons, and maybe we are in a prison until we learn that lesson. I'm throwing out ideas. I know I'm kind of going a little tangential, but I'm trying to follow a pattern of thought here as of why they would be doing this. So I don't mean to be tangential. I mean to be following a cohesive pattern of thought and throwing out, these 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 causes, these reasons, these ideas for why they might be doing this. So anyway, what do you think? I'll try to put a poll up and try to give you guys an ability to check box your idea, as well as leave a comment in the comment section, man. Just leave some comments. I love seeing those. I love engaging with you guys. Um, Hopefully, you guys are taking care of yourself spiritually, physically, emotionally, following through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams, having happy holidays, knowing that the future will continue to be better and brighter as we move forward, and focusing on the good and not focusing on anything negative. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Please like, follow, share, subscribe. That helps the podcast and helps me. I don't make any money off this thing. So if you can share, then hopefully I can get to a point where I can be at the top of the big boys and maybe make a little bit of money. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. Locked on Universe out. Peace.